Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Sonia Shrivastava. Glad to have you with us tonight. The Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments for the first time on whether gays have a constitutional right to marry and receive the federal benefits that go along with marriage. Up before the High Court are two cases. One questions whether Proposition 8 in California is unconstitutional. The referendum, which passed in 2008, bans same-sex marriage. The second case involves DOMA, or the Defense of Marriage Act. The act, which passed in 1996, forbids federal benefits to same-sex couples, including those who are legally married. Our Patricia Vallone takes us outside the Supreme Court, where supporters and opponents are as evenly divided as the justices are expected to be.
The streets in front of the U.S. Supreme Court were packed today as people came in droves to voice their opinions about two important cases before the nation's highest court. One involves California's constitutional amendment forbidding same-sex marriage, the other a federal law that denies gay couples who legally marry the right to obtain federal benefits available to heterosexual couples.
Straight, black, white, marriage is a civil right. One man holding up the movement.
As soon as it's redefined, then it becomes a leverage for those who are advocating same-sex marriage to then use it to shut down Catholic charities, and will eventually use to be persecuting the church and shutting us down.
Actually, I'm in support of civil marriage and people being able to do whatever they want to do. It's in line with my Unitarian Universalist beliefs and with being a libertarian. I just don't think government belongs in my bedroom.
Fundamentally separate but equal has been ruled repeatedly by this body behind us as sort of beneath us as a nation, you know. Equal protection means something. I'm not a second-class citizen. My ancestors have been in this country since pre-colonial days.
Gay, straight, black, white, marriage is a civil right. Gay, straight, black, white, marriage is a civil right.
I am against, not in a bad way. I'm not as in, I want to be civil about it, not violent. But I just believe that the marriage is between one man and one woman.
I think they need to be made equal through the law. I mean, you're allowed to marry a man and a woman. My stepdad's from Mexico, my mom's from America. They wouldn't have been allowed to be married 50 years ago. That's changed. This needs to change too.
Marriage is between a man and a woman, and it's to support the kids that they have. And that's been the way it has been for civilizations. And I think that we need to help the people that feel otherwise.
Supreme Court justices will hear arguments in the California case today. Tomorrow they'll listen to arguments over the Defense of Marriage Act. From Washington, D.C., I'm Patricia Vallone, CTV News.
A total of 30 states have constitutional amendments that ban gay marriage. 9 states, including Maryland, recognize civil unions or domestic partnerships among same-sex couples. The High Court is expected to rule on the landmark cases by June. Well, a 35-year-old man has been charged in connection with the accident in Glendale that killed 2 people. Ramon Anaya Asensio is behind bars on 2 counts of vehicular homicide while under the influence of alcohol, and 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter and several other charges. Police say Anaya was driving a red Honda yesterday morning on Lanham Severn Road. He crossed in front of an Audi to make a left turn, causing it to hit the passenger side of his vehicle. The passengers in the Honda, 46-year-old Leo Castro and 30-year-old Jose Rodriguez, both from Lanham, died as a result of the accident. Anaya Asensio is being held on a $200,000 bond. Meanwhile, Prince George's police are investigating the theft of cooking oil from a local restaurant. Investigators believe it could be connected to similar thefts in the county. On the morning of March 13th, 2 men were caught on surveillance video driving a blue Chevy GMC delivery truck in the 5100 block of Indian Head Highway. Authorities say the men drove to the back of the restaurant, broke a lock to a cooking oil container, and then siphoned the grease into a container on the truck. A curled temporary registration plate plate from an unknown state can be seen attached to the front of the vehicle. Police say cooking oil is typically used to produce a number of consumer products and is quite valuable on the secondary market. Well, there continues to be a lot of talk about the plan by the Prince George's County executive to take over the school system. Ershawn Baker is pushing lawmakers to pass legislation that would give him control of hiring the school superintendent and the billion-dollar budget. But on Monday, the state Senate passed legislation that would leave the fiscal responsibility with the board. You may remember back in 2002 when Baker was a state delegate, he spearheaded a successful effort to change the elected board to an appointed one. We spoke with former school board member Beatrice Tigner, who was part of Baker's plan, about what she thinks about the current effort.
I don't know that the last time around it was because of the fact that people, I think more or less, it wasn't because it didn't work, it was because people wanted to have their own voice in terms of a vote. This time the issue of a vote is not included. So I think people will listen, whether they'll all be happy. I don't think you ever make everyone happy, but I think you got to give education a chance in Prince George's County.
Now, leaders in other cities around the country, including New York and the district, have sought to revamp their school boards to turn around troubled school systems. And in some cases, they have taken control of the finances and other operations. Well, the Maryland Senate passes a measure that would allow undocumented immigrants to obtain driver's licenses. The bill now moves to the House Judiciary Committee for a hearing tomorrow afternoon. The state currently has a 2015 deadline for undocumented immigrants to give up their Maryland driver's licenses. If passed, the bill would indefinitely eliminate that deadline, a move that many immigrant communities have been fighting for.
I am a citizen, I'm a U.S. citizen, but my husband is an immigrant, and with him being an immigrant, he's not legalized as yet, and he does not have a driver's license. So every morning I have to drive him to where he gets picked up for work. We have a 5-year-old. And she has to get up with us at 5:30 in the morning. She has to drive with us to drop her dad off at work, when she could get another hour and a half of sleep because she has to be in school by 7:30, and she does not need to get up at 5:30. In the afternoons, he gets out of work like around 2 or 3-ish. He will be able to pick her up if he had a driver's license, but he can't do that right now, so the babysitter has to keep her until 8 o'clock at night.
Now, opponents of the legislation say that the bill could make Maryland a haven for illegal immigration. If passed, Maryland would become one of a handful of states rejecting the federal Real ID Act by allowing undocumented immigrants to legally obtain driver's licenses.